one of the nerd questions I want to ask you, you mentioned that you bring your stuff with you wherever you go, meaning your production rig of some kind.
Yeah.
And from talking to you earlier, it sounds like you guys are actually able to work a lot on the road, which a lot of people say they're going to do, but most people don't. What
Yeah.
is your process for that, and how do you make it work where other people may not?
Um, well, over the year, my setup has got gradually less and less to the point where it's just a bag now. I have like a rucksack, and that's all I ever take, really. So, to be honest with you, I rarely even use a mic. Now, I mean, I'll use a mic to record Ollie, but like for writing and production, I don't even use an interface or a mic or headphones. I just work on my laptop on the speakers, on like the little laptop speakers. Um, I just I'm just probably laziness and just like situations, like sometimes getting the cables out and getting your interface out is a pain. So it's just like,
If that slows you down and gets in the way of the process, then maybe
yeah,
it's not worth it.
I think it's normally I just start. I kind of start and I'm like, I'll just mess with this. And I think if I need my stuff, I'll get it all out, and then I'm in it, and I'm not really using it. So yeah, it's my stuff is really minimal. It's pretty much just my laptop. I do have a little interface. Sometimes I carry like a little pair of speakers if we're going to be working, one set of headphones and a little SM7, and that's pretty much all we actually need to make a record. To be fair, um,
Right.
Lee has his guitars on the road anyway, so if we're going to track some guitar, we can stick it straight in. Um, and we work on we write on the road a lot. It's pretty much all we do, to be fair. So um, yeah, most days, any days off, we're writing. So usually from on a show day, it's like people will gym and stuff until lunchtime, and then maybe grab some lunch, and then we'll start properly getting into the writing about 1 or 2 o'clock. We'll break for sound check, and then we'll come back and carry on writing right up until show. And show for us is usually like 8:39. So around 8 o'clock, we'll kind of wrap it up, depending on where we've got to. Sometimes if we're really like feeling it, or Ollie's in the zone, he'll just keep going and going right up until like 15 minutes before the show. If he's like addicted,
Yeah.
and like can't stop. But yeah, and then sometimes after the show, depending on how much energy we've got, we'll keep going, do a couple of hours, and it's pretty much that repeat all the time.
That's a
Um,
long day. I saw the video that you guys did with my friend Zach in the gym.
who's your friend,
And
Zach Savini?
no, Zach Tellender, when you guys were working out.
Oh
I don't
yeah,
remember
it
if you
wasn't
were in
me.
that
That
or
was
not.
Ollie and Matt. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And he was like, man, I thought these guys were going to be like party animals. They just fucking work all the time.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, Ollie and Matt they work out a lot too. I do like a little bit, but the workout's like really important for them, so they have to get in their like proper gym time. I can just like do a little bit every other day. It's fine for me. I'm not that much of a gym guy.
But
But
that's
yeah,
a
we
long day. You're talking about, if you start working at noon or something like that, and then maybe working after the show. I mean, that's a 12 or 14-hour day.
yeah, but it's not work. You can kind of jump in and out, and people dip in and out a little bit, so it doesn't feel like it because you're not like in the grind for
Yeah.
that amount of time. And also on tour, we have Zach Savini comes out with us, who's produced, and
Yeah.
uh, he produces with us and helps us, and that actually takes a little bit of weight off of me. So if I want to just go and do something else for a bit, we're still progressing and there's still stuff being done. And I really like having him out on tour. Actually, I wasn't sure at first. I was like a little bit like, "Ooh," just because I'm quite a control freak, and it's
Hmm.
kind of
But he's brilliant.
oh, he's so good, yeah. So that's kind of made it a lot easier for me, and it's allowed me to take a little bit of a step back and maybe come up with better ideas. I feel like potentially, or it's just like if
Hmm.
when we get to a point and we're looking for where do we go next or something, I can kind of just sit and cook something up and fire it over to him, and then he'll take it. So it's a slightly different way of working, but I feel like the heart of it is still the same. It's just it's not quite so much. I mean, I used to be such a control freak on like That's the Spirit. Had hands on everything, edited all the drums,
Oh,
went through
wow.
every tom hit to take out all the noise. It was just like
Wow.
obsessive. Edited all the guitars, all the vocals, everything.
That's for anybody listening to this may not be familiar. Like, I would say it's pretty unheard of for a member of the band to be doing drum edits.
Yeah. So I mean, I feel like we pretty much handled everything entirely on the album and handed it to Dan, and then we went to the mixer's place and mixed it with him over the course of like 2 weeks because there was such a specific. Um, we knew exactly what we wanted it to sound like. So yeah, it just used to be so hands on that it was almost too much, I would say.
Yeah.
And now I think trying to find a little bit of a balance, just so I'm not burning myself out because I'm a little bit older and I've got children and stuff, and also
Right.
just trying to like manage. I think we've got a little bit better at like delegating, so we have people who can help us, who we trust, and there's also like we're now using other like producers for additional production and extra stuff like that, and that's something that I didn't think I would ever enjoy that I really really am enjoying. Like, you kind of get the song up to a point and it sounds like the song, and then you give it
Hmm.
to someone and say, give us loads of shit, and they'll send back a load of different production, little bits and bobs and weird noises and shit, and it's really fun to play with that. So Lost had some additional production on it by
Okay.
um, Tracy Breaks, and just some really cool stuff that adds some different. It just makes it feel a little more collaborative, to be honest. So yeah,
Right.
that's kind of a fun thing as well.
Yeah, and especially if you're in this position, which you guys are, of constantly kind of trying to push the limits and do something new. There's the most creative person in the world only has so many ideas.
Yeah, exactly. I also think age, being aware of, I mean, I'm not 50, but I mean, we are not 19-year-olds. Do you know what I mean? So it's like it's not necessarily trying to get a young sound. It's not that. It's more just collaborating with younger musicians is inspiring and keeps you on your toes. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
So it's more that for me. It's like just keeping your keeping in touch and not letting yourself like just. I think the more distant you become from new up and coming people making music, the more easy it is to just revert into your shell and become start to do the same thing again. It's like you all
Yeah,
these things
repeat
you can do to,
yourself.
yeah, to protect yourself from getting into like a little cycle where you're just.
Right.
So I feel like that's really helped us, just being open to collaborating and giving someone something and saying, give us, just do whatever with it, do whatever you would do with it, and then we take it. And to be honest, we always it ends up getting pulled back into a Bring Me the Horizon song anyway. But it just can give you some interesting ideas and different perspectives on it.
So I feel like it's almost like you've kind of come full circle of, you worked with outside producers before you were in the band quite a bit. And then you and Ollie sort of took on that role. And now maybe you've brought in the circle a little bit more to bring in some other people. You guys are still the producers at the end of the day.
I guess, yeah, I guess so. That is, I mean, especially on these records because they're all different. I think it makes sense for us to be like, okay, let's use people. Like for example, this record we're on now, we're wanting a bit of a hyper pop kind of influence. It's like, well, there's people who we can collaborate with
Right.
who are. I mean, I can do that stuff, but also there's people who do that, who exclusively do that stuff. I don't exclusively do that stuff. So it's like we can, and it's like, okay, if the third record is going to be really electronic, I mean, there's so many electronic producers who I love, who would be interesting to work with. The fourth record, if we're going to do something really heavy, it's like we've worked with Mick Gordon before. He makes the
Right.
heaviest sounding shit ever.
Yeah, you're
Let's
not going to do Mick Gordon better than Mick Gordon does Mick
No,
Gordon.
so we'll bring him back again,
Yeah. Right.
100%.
Right.